Greetings and salutations, fellow unsuccessful authors. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. Today we are talking about general literature and miscellaneous comic books top fives.
So, you may have noticed we've been doing our top 5 favorite things in various categories across the year. Here's the problem with that. At the end of all things, there must come a difference. And this is where White and I have a difference. I've read a lot more books. He's had a lot more experience with independent comics. So, we instead of trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find 5 independent comics characters I really like who aren't just the 5 on White's list in a slightly different order. And instead of him having to... Well, I'll let him explain that.
So, our last one was the top 5 Star Trek characters, which was a list that we sort of accidentally birthed.
Because we realized we both like Star Trek and can find people we like in it.
Yeah. Part of the process of that was realizing that 2 podcasts we had, one for general literature and miscellaneous comic book characters, one each, that is to say, needed to be congealed into one full list. Because I haven't really read a book in at least a decade. And that upsets me.
Especially because in that decade he's written several books.
Yes. I can't find any books I like. I've tried. I've gotten some recommendations recently that we're looking into, but it's very hard. I as a person, have experienced in many ways the Weezer song, "The World Has Turned and Left Me Here," and this is one of those ways. I used to love to read. And to you, listener, the obvious answer might be, well, choose from those franchises, those books you read in the past, pick characters from those. And that is exactly what I tried to do. Here's the problem. A lot of those don't hit the same as they used to. The Harry Potter fandom ruined Harry Potter for me. Before anyone else could. And trust me, that didn't help. Lord of the Rings, I don't have the same connection to as I did when I was a kid, largely because of the movies. And that's not for better or worse, it's just sort of... How can Legolas be my favorite character when Legolas is like the trope? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've become Seinfeld.
Yeah.
They're so foundational in your worldview that you don't like Legolas anymore. It's just that Legolas is an archetype.
Yeah. And there's not anything about him or Gimli or anyone else for that matter in particular
that's unique enough and separate enough from the archetype on account of them literally being the archetype that they stick.
Yeah. Now, we say that and we talk about, having Superman or Lex Luthor in our top 5s for other things. And yeah, they still have personality traits that stand out. Lord of the Rings, as you may forget because the movies are very fun, are dry fucking books.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
I just like dry shit sometimes.
And that's fine. It's not going to get in my top 5, even in the best part of my life, where I was clear and present with that. It wasn't getting to my top 5. The big thing that I was looking at my list, holding my head in my hands about, was when I was in high school, I started reading the Anita Blake series, which for like 8 books was really good.
And then
it became about BDSM panther sex. And that might be really interesting for some folks. I'm not one of those folks. So it's really hard for me to look back and go, oh wow, Jean-Claude is such a cool character, when I have to take that with my castor oil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, here we are. Before we get into those top 5 lists, which are full of many iconic and interesting characters, I would like to remind y'all that commenting and liking are 2 good ways to boost the signal of this video. Other than sharing it around, man. You can just share it with your friends you think might like it. That's cool. And I am actually interested to hear your opinion. I read every comment we get, even the ones that don't pass by the filter because you're just trying to get me to go to your website, you spam bot. I've got Patreon. Despite what I said in the beginning, I do have books. You could buy them.
They're really good.
And I do streaming on Twitch. We've got a Discord. I think that should be showing up in the description now.
If you wanted to have a very direct line to my phone, join the Discord. You can message me on that Discord server, and it will show up on my phone.
Yeah.
That is basically the only way you're going to get something to show up on my phone.
I feel like there was another thing that we usually... Oh, the Patreon is supported presently and gets shout-outs by Rob and a guy from Ohio.
Great guys, both.
Yeah.
I
think that's it. I don't know.
I think...
Give me money.
Do you want to do the first one or do you want me to?
I want money.
Okay, I'll go first.
I didn't mean for you to take that way.
I'm doing literature. I'm doing books. I need to preface a couple things. One, I really like a couple independent comics characters, not the big two. The problem is, it's literally just White's list. I can see it here. It's in a slightly different order, but it is literally just the exact same characters. That was kind of weird when I first saw it, actually. So there's no point in me also having that list. And two, I'm not including any fan fiction or original web fiction on this. I am including published books. That's not to say that those are lesser forms of fiction. It's more that... So I'm not including fan fiction because fan fiction I don't hold to the same standards as published books. I would be a real dickhead if I showed up and treated people who are what is essentially a hobby that someone is engaging in and giving to me for free with the same rigor that I treat books. Because I actually do treat books with a fair amount of a critical eye. And for original web fiction, it's more so that there have been precious few original web fictions that I've really, really loved. And the ones I really have loved have all had problems that make it hard to recommend them. So I'm not going to. I'm perfectly willing to share my opinion about those things, but it's just not what this list is about.
You know, it'd be a good place to talk about this kind of shit is the Discord.
Indeed. My fifth favorite character in a published book is Grace Mulholland from the two recent Colt Regan novels. I am uniquely privileged to know the author of this series, and that's very helpful because it means I get the books before all of you. Ha ha ha, neener. But,
if enough of you all sub to the Patreon, I'm sure we could arrange something.
But I genuinely love these books. They happen to be written by my best friend. That's a coincidence. I treat books very seriously. White knows that if he writes something shit, I will tell him, and I've done so in the past.
Yes. It hurt my feelings.
But the Colt Regan novels are actually really, really well done urban fantasy. They are a wonderful mix of like a light dusting of noir tropes, along with a genre I love, and I'll get into this more later, slight spoilers, but they represent a really unique approach in most published novels towards character development. Most authors do this thing, especially in urban fantasy, where they endeavor to, they seek out to, they want to torture their characters because that's interesting. It's not, they want to see these characters go through as stressful and awful a situation as it is possible for them to go through because that gives you something to write on the page. It means you don't have to go through too much emotional or mental labor to try and develop the character in a more natural way. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's not always to my taste because there's a certain amount of suffering that makes a piece of fiction no longer enjoyable for me. But it's really nice to have at least one book series that doesn't do that. And the Colt Regan series doesn't. It's not nice to the characters. It's not like peddling... it doesn't treat them with kid gloves, but it's a very honest and real sort of, series of events and look towards character development. More specifically, Grace. Grace is a character I immediately connected with. She's pretty recent. She's not in my favorite Colt book, which is the third one. She only shows up in book 5, but I immediately connected with her and immediately liked her. She's a great example of like a snarky sort of, I never pronounce this word right, the secondary protagonist, I believe like deuterologist or something like that. But because she has very much become the secondary protagonist of the most recent 2 novels. And I like that a lot. That's really good. She took over in the space in the story from another character in the earlier books named Alex. And while I like that character, I like Grace a whole lot more. She is an excellent example of... I'm not going to spoil the story of these books. One, that would be really mean to my compatriot here. He benefits financially if I make you read them. And 2, I think it would be beneficial to actually read the story. Grace is a unique look at a very specific problem. And it's a really compassionate one. That's about all I've got for that. What's your number 5 independent comics character?
So, like, I didn't set out to just make mine independent comics. That's just sort of how the cards fell.
Yeah, it was miscellaneous comics is how we listed.
Well, and that includes everything from, webcomics, which I just didn't find anybody I cared enough about in my history of reading webcomics. There wasn't like an author insert, and that feels weird for the same reason we're not doing a top 5 wrestlers list.
Yeah.
Or, newspaper comics, or actual indie comics, or, third brands like Archie Comics was for a long time. But they happen to get out ahead of everybody who would have been on my literary list. Number 5 is the Perennial Calvin and Hobbes. I don't know, except for maybe the Far Side, which does not have a central character, except for Thag. Who only appeared in one strip posthumously, but changed science.
Yeah.
You know it? Calvin and Hobbes has been the comic strip I've read the most throughout my life. And even going back and, like, seeing them on Tumblr or, as will happen at some point, taking down my big collected The Days Are Just Packed anthology and reading through it. My girlfriend actually brought one over recently, and I'll probably take a look at that too. They're always really smart, well-written strips, well-constructed jokes, great visuals. The adult characters are still managed to be portrayed as reasonable people and not just caricatures of an adult. Like, they're also just trying to live their lives the same amount that Calvin is. And, they're just also adults, not children.
And shits.
He's a little shit, but like a genuine little shit. He's not Dennis the Menace.
He's not trying to make some people's lives worse. He just happens to be tough to be around.
Sure. And it's... I mean, we talked before in these lists how, classically I like a solo character with a good lancer. There's a lot of those tropes, the way that has changed in more recent times that I don't care for. But I feel like Calvin and Hobbes embodies that. Red Oni, blue Oni. Exactly what I was about to say. And it does it so well in a slice of life way. And y'all know how I love my slice of life.
Yeah, and Calvin and Hobbes benefits a lot from being complete. Calvin and Hobbes is complete. There is no more Calvin and Hobbes. You can read it all. And it just works. You don't need more. I would love more, sure, but it's a story. It's a complete story at the end.
A thing isn't beautiful because it lasts.
Exactly.
Unlike Legolas, I say that Calvin and Hobbes, despite being the trope...
codifier.
Yeah. Still has so much personality, both to the 2 central characters and to the strip itself, that it hasn't been unseated yet. There have been elves after Legolas. There have been Legoli who aren't elves after Legolas that have done better than the original. No one has outdone Calvin and Hobbes. And they've tried.
And it's always kind of cringe when people do, because your arms aren't long enough, man. I'm sorry.
What is your number 4, my dude?
My number 4 favorite literature character is actually from The Lord of the Rings. I read The Lord of the Rings when I was young. It was the second fantasy series I got into. No characters are on this list from the first fantasy series I got into, because if I'm being completely honest, it's because Joanne is fucking insufferable. But the Lord of the Rings has stuck with me because that guy's dead and can't have shitty hot takes on Twitter. So
He would, though.
I mean, probably. They'd be mostly about grammar.
I would fight him so I would make
he was that dude too. He was that dude.
He was. You're absolutely right, and I'm mad.
Mine is Samwise Gamgee from The Lord of the Rings. He's my favorite Lord of the Rings character. He's fucking great. As many people over the years have accurately and insightfully stated, he's the protagonist of The Lord of the Rings. He's the real hero. He's the one who goes through the biggest change. He's the one on whom the quest is decided. Samwise Gamgee is a moron. He is a simple-hearted, big-hearted guy who just wants to help his best friend get through this very fucked up thing that's happening in his life. And all he wants is to just help. Help Mr. Frodo get where he needs to go and go home. Go back to the Shire and marry Rosie and drink some beer. He is a simple man. It ain't much, but gardening is honest work. Samwise Gamgee is the salt of the fucking earth. And he's the heart of the story. You can read a lot of better, more eloquent explanations for this elsewhere on the internet. You can listen to them. There are many YouTube listicles and essays about Sam. And go do that, because they're going to do a better job than I am, because I'm just emotionally connected to this guy, because he's the one I associated with. He was the one who I felt for when I read The Lord of the Rings.
I really liked Legolas and Gimli and Merry and Pippin when I read.
Merry and Pippin were shits. Legolas and Gimli I liked, but in like an admiring way.
Sure.
They felt for Samwise.
They didn't take enough of the spotlight, period.
No, they were very much more secondary characters.
They were super secondary characters.
But like for a big part of the story, Sam he's one of the protagonists. He's like right there with Frodo.
Oh, yeah.
He has to deal with Gollum and Frodo's growing mistrust, and he has to deal with the emotional weight of being distrusted and discarded by your best friend. And that's gotta fucking suck. But he picks up his boots and he doesn't drop his friend when he's having a hard time, and he goes after him and he saves him. Because that's what you do.
And he cares about the well-being of Bill the Pony.
Because Bill's a good boy.
Sam's just good. He's just good.
Yes.
What a good fellow.
Who's your number 4 favorite comics character?
Wow, what a fucking contrast to Samwise Gamgee. My number 4 favorite comics character is Spawn. I haven't read a lot of Spawn. I wish I could read more Spawn. I haven't had the occasion to. Everything I have read that centers around Al as a character is amazing. It was a very transformative point in my life, both from my age and the way the fiction works. What a cool fucking guy who is done wrong, comes back from the dead, and fights against his oppressors. Neat idea. Maybe we'll revisit it later. I liked the fact that he wanted his old life back and knew he couldn't have it. I liked the fact that he was caught up in this war between heaven and hell and didn't give a shit. And he had cool fucking powers, and chains came out of him, and he had a cool cape.
Look, man, a cool look could take you a long way, and Spawn has perhaps one of the coolest looks in comics. Yes. That fucking cape, dude. That cape, disregarding the rest of the guy, that cape is killer.
It's amazing. And it's such a simple story. It's such a simple character. But the emotions are real.
And one of the reasons the story is so good is because it doesn't overcomplicate things. It sticks to the big shit. It sticks to the firmament. Good versus evil. Who are you? And if you have the choice, can you be better? That you don't need to get more complicated than that.
Yeah, bad guys are bad, and he beats the fuck out of them.
And Spawn, unique amongst comics protagonists, he fights some bad fucking dudes.
Yes, yes, he does.
And benefits thereby because you get that moment of yes, exactly. That is exactly what should happen to that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's gone through a lot of incarnations and changes over the years, but like the classic Spawn, the classic storylines, you know, before time travel. The time travel was cool. Don't get me wrong. Just that incarnation of Spawn sticks with me. Still sticks with me. I still find him very compelling. He's street level with the powers of Doctor Strange, and he still stays on street level. He will fight God, but he also wants to fight for the homeless people who aren't getting a fair shake.
Because just because you have phenomenal cosmic power doesn't mean you should disregard your itty bitty living space.
Yeah. I always liked that too about him, is that he's become one of the cast-offs of society by necessity. Like, it's just a beautiful little. I would almost call it accidental knowing who made him. But it's just sometimes everything comes together and you make the face of the guy from the Emperor's New Groove. John Goodman.
John Goodman. I mean, yeah, just John Goodman. All right.
Not a whole hell of a lot to say. What's your number 3 there, Chief?
My third favorite literature character is Roland Deschain from Dark Tower. He's the man in black. He's the cowboy. He's the ultimate expression of the archetype. He's Clint Eastwood rendered unto his purest form. Roland is a hard motherfucker. And he is perhaps one of the best expressions of that sentence in fiction. He's not emotionless. Actually, he's someone who is weighted down by deep sorrow and regret and a longing desire to belong, to have family, to have a place in the world. But he is unfortunately more beset by a driving need to complete his quest. Roland is a determinator on cocaine, and he can't be stopped. Cosmic forces, giant robots, men with guns, it's all basically the same to the last gunslinger. He's going to get through them, and he's going to kill them if he has to do it. I really love this character. I love the book series he's from, less so than when I was a kid. I reread it fairly recently, and some of it is not as good as I remember, unfortunately. But Roland holds up. The dude is so many different pieces of archetypes that he becomes his own new thing. He's King Arthur with a revolver.
He does have that, like, forgive me for kind of being, leaning on an expression a little hard here, but he does have that Superman quality where he is like so much of so many different characters and so many virtues combined into one being, that like he just sort of redefines a lot of, up until his existence, the expectations of different genres and the many different genres that weave into his story.
Yeah. He's a very well-developed character emotionally. You understand by the end of that series what a tragic figure Roland is and how horrible it is that he is doom-driven to the extent that he is. But you also come to realize that he understands how tragic he is also, but that's not going to stop him. He's not a nice guy. He's done some horrible fucking things. But at the end of the day, he doesn't really feel the need to justify himself over it. And that's a certain kind of powerful. Because he is happening to save the universe, but that's not why he's doing it. He's doing it because he made a promise. And he will keep that promise, even if he has to kill the whole universe to do it. And you just kind of gotta admire that kind of bloody-minded determination. I, of course, like other characters from the series. I believe at least one of them... No, none of them made it into my honorable mentions, so I'll say it here. The rest of the quartet are great. The world building from the series is great. But I'm not here to talk about the world building of a series so much. I'm here to talk about characters, and Roland is my favorite character from that series. Because he's the most well developed. You spend the most time with him, and by God, he's super cool and badass.
Good look goes a long way.
Yep.
I perhaps chose his least good look for our thumbnail, but
it's iconic.
I liked the juxtaposition.
It's iconic. It's so iconic. This was the right call.
I'm number 3, if I can move along.
By all means, who's your number 3 comics?
Contrast to Spawn, who I like the classic, maybe initial version of before things got too complicated. My number 3 is the Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. And I think I like him the more complicated he gets. Because originally he's just a bad guy.
He's just an asshole.
He's just an asshole. He's your classic target for samurai, or ninja in this case, revenge.
He's like a Kurosawa bad guy. He's not complex. He's just hard.
An early in the movie Kurosawa bad guy. Maybe the dragon of a Kurosawa film. But he's... they give him depth, both in the Archie comics, which is what I grew up with, and in a lot of the other series, to make him a more complex character. He's not a good person. There's never a situation in which...
There is a definite synchronicity between our two number 3s.
Yes.
In another life, Roland could have been the Shredder.
Sure. And he's got such a dumb fucking name based on cheese graters. But, also at the same time, he manages to pull it off.
Oroku Saki is a motherfucker.
He is a motherfucker. But I always sticks in my head is... I forget which comic it is. It's in the Archie series. It's pretty late in the run. Shredder has been taken over by Krang, who just sort of plorped on his head and hijacked his mind. The Turtles are fighting him and a bunch of his minions. They manage to get Krang off, and they're like, all right, we did all this, but now we have to face the Shredder. And Shredder's like, no, not today. You did me a favor. We're not fighting now. Next time, we will fight. And, to me as an adult, I can go and I can look at all the movies and things I've seen that likely inspired that exchange. But, as a kid, that was, probably my first real taste of, an evil warrior with honor.
Yeah, the bad guy with a code.
Yes. And they did it so simply and so well, and I was like, this guy. And he never gets explored deep enough in, the movies or what have you, to really get into, the inner workings of this man. I never would want to see, a straight-up team-up between the Turtles and Shredder, but I would like to see them have to work together for a minute.
I'm sure there's been at least one Turtle series that's done that.
I'm sure.
There's so many.
Probably the one where he's Utrum. I haven't watched a lot of that one. Yeah, I just think he's a great villain. He's a complicated villain. And sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's Cobra Commander.
Sometimes he's just Uncle Phil having a grand old time.
No, he's not having a grand old. He's having the worst day. He is Uncle Phil in a constant state of ejecting DJ Jazzy Jeff from his home.
DJ Jazzy Jeff as the 5th Ninja Turtle.
But yeah, why don't you, roll on to that number 2.
Okay. My second favorite character from literature, and this one is pretty hard. The number 2 and 1 slots were always... This one That were always foregone conclusions. It's Colt Regan. Again, I happen to live with the author, but that's a coincidence. Colt Regan is the most well-developed main character in fiction. I stand by that statement. He is the most realistic person I have read. And that is a fucking accomplishment. Because I have read a lot of fiction.
I check with him regularly when he says shit like this. And I'm like, are you sure? What about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? Here we are.
Colt Regan is one of the few people I've ever seen actually mature. There are other characters, one of them in my honorable mentions, who have done the same, but less believably so in certain instances. Colt Regan believably got over his shit. The Colt you meet in the first book and the Colt in the most recent book they're not different guys. That's the thing. They're the same guy. But they're the same guy who has reacted realistically and reasonably to the shit in his life. And rather than just having a non-stop trauma cycle where he eventually becomes shell-shocked, like most protagonists in the sort of genre he's in, they become bitter and jaded and shell-shocked, and that's treated as a sort of ersatz maturity by the audience that likes that sort of cynicism in their fiction, of which I am not. He actually matures. He actually strives to be a better person. He's not a perfect guy. He's got problems, he's got biases, but he struggles and strives to be aware of them, and he has a reasonable amount of success. Not unreasonable, not unrealistic. He doesn't always succeed, but he tries, and he's trying consistently in a very well-written and realistic way to be a slightly better dude than he was yesterday. He also happens to be really fucking cool. And have a cool look, and have a cool shotgun, and a big leather coat, and he fist fights eldritch horrors. And that goes a long way too. But that's not why he's on my number 2 slot. He's on my number 2 slot because he is, without reservation, the most well-developed character I have ever read. I don't think I've actually told you that before.
I think we may have. I'm trying to stay silent on both of these entries about me because how terribly conceited would it be for me to put my own characters in my top favorites list? But I would like to mention something about Colt specifically, something that I do like about the character, and I like that I've more or less been able to keep true, at least so far. When I originally sat down to write the books, my goal was to make a character who didn't have superpowers, who fought the eldritch horrors, who fought the demons and the monsters and whatever else the hell else could be thrown at him. And because I was tired of reading books that were like, I've developed a new superpower and that will overcome my problems. I love superheroes, but I like to see characters challenged. If you're going to lay the groundwork for, you don't go into a Spider-Man story thinking, I hope he develops extra limbs so he can beat this bad guy, although it has happened.
It's comics.
You want to go, how is Spidey and his webs and his ingenuity going to get through this one?
Like, one of the things that Colt has done as a series, not necessarily the character, has done a really good job of is avoiding power creep.
Yes.
Colt is better at his job than he was in the first book. But also he's older. He's cannier, but he's not as quick. He's got better skills, but he's not as rough and tumble as he was when he was in his 20s. So, and you portray that realistically. A lot of series do not. I will get there. But it's one of the things I like. That's what I mean. He matures. He becomes. There are bold mercenaries and there are old mercenaries, and there are no old, bold mercenaries.
Accurate, I would say. I would disagree with the fact that he's old, being as he's approximately my age. But
he's still a little bold.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's true.
We're on the sliding scale.
That's another motherfucker of a situation. Is starting out writing a character in his 30s, going, "Yeah, this will be fine," and then you get to the point where you're writing the new books and your age is caught up with his. oh no. I'll move on to my number 2 because it's very simple. We can go through it pretty quick here. My number 2 is The Crow. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, like top 3. It's been a while since I've organized them. But I've also read the comic book, and I read a couple of the novels as well. I want to say like Eric Draven specifically, and he is the best one. But the concept of The Crow in general is...
I was going to call you out if you weren't honest about that.
No, yeah. It just... The fact... It's so fucking simple. And a lot of stories have done it poorly, but it's so easy to do well and be satisfying. Someone is wronged and they die. They get up, they get revenge. And the bad people are punished. And, I mean, there's a lot of cool shit about this Crow spirit guide and, you know, the look.
Great world building. And the look is iconic.
Yeah. And they've gone a lot of weird different places with it. But at the core, bad people did bad things and are going to get punished by an unstoppable force from beyond the grave.
It doesn't have to get more complex than that.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Eric Draven is the best of them. He's compelling, and it's... The acting in the film, especially. Look, the book is just a book. It's a great book, but, like, it is what it is. But when you get to see that character portrayed in a way where you can watch the nuance in their face as they are thinking thoughts, like, in character, considering the circumstances they're in and the ramifications of their actions and who else it might hurt in the process. Beautiful shit. And I feel like that's a through line to a lot of situations with that character, with The Crow, in various different movies and literary fiction and comic books and all kinds of shit. So, banging soundtracks too.
That's just facts.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's do some honorable mentions. What are your honorable mentions?
My first honorable mention is, and I'm not doing the bit.
But I typed it and everything.
Harry Dresden from the Dresden Files. He is another character who has matured, but not always as believably. You don't always buy that he has reached the point that he seems to have reached. It's not a problem from the author's perspective. I don't think it's a failure on Jim Butcher's part. I feel like it's something that Harry is lying to himself about. And that's nice and all, but it does get him off. It does keep him off the list. Sherlock Holmes, who would have been in my top 5 when I was younger, but he's just been supplanted. Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. This very much is the archetype problem. Gandalf is fucking Gandalf.
Who's better, gray or white?
Oh, gray.
Okay, we're still friends.
Gandalf the Grey is better. Gandalf the White's more powerful, but Gandalf the Grey is better.
Yeah.
And Case from Neuromancer. I went a surprisingly long time in life without actually reading Neuromancer, and by God, it's just the whole cyberpunk genre in one book. Like, they didn't fucking do anything.
I think it's the other way around, but yeah.
No, I mean, like, the people who made
yeah.
the cyberpunk as a genre, it's just what was it in Neuromancer? That. Was it not? What's the closest we can get to something that was? And good. I mean, good. But the character himself is a little thin, so he doesn't end up on the list.
My honorable mentions are kind of weird, and I keep rereading these like, really? But yeah, I guess. The Tick, I like irreverence in my superheroes. See Freakazoid. Frog and Toad, which is a series of children's books, and I won't get too deep into why I appreciate them, but I remember as a kid really resonating with slice of life shit.
Yep.
There's a book I have called Owl at Home that features like an amalgamation of Frog and Toad in one character, Owl. I just like simple little stories like, oh no, we're out of crackers, whatever will we do? I will hide in my bed all day. Well, that won't solve anything. It just makes me happy. The Pigeon, from Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. This is also a children's series by Mo Willems, but I came into it as an adult. They're just really funny and sweet, and he's a really fun character, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
Nope. Speaking
of which, Garfield. Fuck y'all. Quit trying to make Garfield something he isn't.
Garfield's nice. He loves John, by the way.
I mean, he's a dick, but like he's not an eldritch horror. Like, calm down, everybody. Calm down.
I really like the panels that show Garfield being like a cat who loves his human a lot. Like, he's still a cat, so he's an asshole, but, like, he does love his human.
And I think a lot of people these days were touched more by the series and maybe an individual strip. I have read Garfield up to a certain point from the beginning, when he was, like, shaped like a hill in Mario.
Right.
So, like, there's a lot of early stuff there that, like, you know, world building, if I may.
I don't think you may.
Okay. And then I'd like to include Dwight McCarthy from Sin City. He's a cool-ass fucking character who's inspired, like, half a dozen characters I've written and played in role-playing games. Did you want a noir character? Did you want the noir character? It's Dwight McCarthy.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, he's just an archetypal fucking noir detective. That's just, like, down to the bones.
Yeah. All right, man. It's number one time.
Okay.
You feel free to hold back if you want to for that eventual top 10 list.
No, I think I'll go ahead.
Okay. All right.
I look, this dude's gonna end up on my overall top 10. I will gush about him again. But my number one favorite literature character is Michael Carpenter from the Dresden Files. He's the paladin. He's the paladin. No one comes close. He is Mr. Rogers with a sword. He's a good man. And he's not corny. He's not over the top. He's not incorruptible. He's a man. He's human. But he's a good man. He is a character I constantly find to be inspiring. I want to be as good a person as Michael Carpenter is all the time. And I actually strive to improve and become a better person to be more like someone like this. He's humble, he's reasonable, he's forgiving, and he is the best friend and best dad that Harry Dresden ever had. But I could gush about Michael Carpenter for a long time. My favorite appearance of his is probably it's a combo of Skin Game, and his appearance there is just aces, combined with a Dresden Files short story called The Warrior, which I feel does a lot to humanize Michael and make him seem less like a two-dimensional stand-up of, perfectly good, nice, good boy. He's not. He's a human. He could choose to be a bad person. He is choosing to be a good man. That means something. It is the best character Jim Butcher's ever written, and I've read several book series of his, and it's not close. Michael's great. Who's your number one?
My number one is cheating because I can't separate them. It is all four Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Omitted from the original top 10 list we did years ago because I'm fucking stupid.
I think maybe it was because you couldn't separate them.
Maybe I might have had some dumbass rule like that. It's more likely I would have put all four of them in order at the top.
I didn't want to use that many slots.
Maybe. Who knows? I'm dumb. I'm dumb. White Raven, 2021.
Well, explain why you used to be dumb. Why are these good boys?
And 2018. Why are these good boys? Because they were cleverly crafted by an expert marketing guy to be good boys. And it still works. I have not seen... Look, there's been Power Rangers. There's been... I don't know, I'm thinking of other teams of Power Rangers and not anything else.
The trope is 5-man band. It's all over fiction. There's squads of dudes, 4 or 5 people strong, that all operate in certain, like, archetypal slots. We could be here all fucking day.
Sure. I don't think any fiction has ever done it better than those four. They are at friction and synergy at the same time. I love it when there are scenes where they are literally arguing while working together to defeat a goal. Or accomplish a goal, rather. Defeat an opponent. They are each, no matter what incarnation, whatever it is they choose for that turtle to be, they blend together well. There's something for everyone. One turtle you can pick as your favorite in each different generation. We don't talk about the next mutation. It's the only bad one.
Fair enough.
I blame Chaim Saban. But like they're they stand out, and you can change the formula, and it still works. The original comics Turtles compared to the Archie comics Turtles, compared to the cartoon series ones, compared to the 2003, compared to the 2007, all these different incarnations. The most recent one where they made Raph the leader. Like, there's so many things they've done, and they still work.
The pieces still fit.
The pieces still fit. These are comic book characters. Sometimes you can take Batman and put him in a situation where he doesn't feel very Batman.
It doesn't... the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are the Lego of characters.
Yeah,
they
really
fit the
are.
system.
Because you can have a gritty, dark tale about thugs and street-level combat, and the next episode they can be going into space to fight interdimensional mutants in a wrestling organization, and you go, yeah, okay.
These are the same guys.
Yeah, this all tracks. I don't know why it works. Sorcery?
Alchemy?
But it does, and it's worked with so many different teams of people, and it's worked across so many different mediums.
They are a character cheat code.
They are.
You can basically do what you like, and so long as you are nominally sticking to the idea, it will work.
Yeah. I have recently gone back and watched episodes from, like, when I was a kid, and it's still funny. And I'm not saying that as like, nostalgia goggles. No. There's been plenty of shit I've gone back and looked at when I was a kid and went, oh, this is bad.
Oh, no, I was a terrible moron when I was a child. Oh, no.
And, like, look, some of it hasn't aged well in terms of, like, being sensitive. But jokes are still funny. Timing's still good. Ideas are still interesting. Holy shit. How do you do it every fucking time? They're just, like, this is something where you reached into the heavens like fucking Prometheus and brought the world fire, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's the thing I said on the internet just now. That's out there in real life.
We're not going to get better than that, everybody. Everything's better when nerds talk about it. Fuck it.